Meeting to order. If everybody would please be seated. So we can stand up again? That's right. Art's going to do the invocation.
Would you guys please stand and follow me in the pledge to the flag? Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please bow your heads. Dear Lord, please keep our troops safe. Help us make good decisions for the public that we serve. Safe travel for anyone still on their way to the district's meeting tonight. Amen.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Director Arthur Perry.
Here.
Assistant Secretary Robert Uten.
Here.
Secretary Arlene Schaefer. Present. And Vice President James Fairman.
I'm present, and Mike Schaefer's not with us tonight, but he's excused. Do we have any, we should do a roll, well, we did a roll call. Any announcements of late communications?
No, Mr. Vice President.
Anything ceremonial or
None, Mr. Vice President.
presentation? Public comments. We do have a public with us. Yes, please.
All right. Good evening, directors, staff. Thank you. My name is Doug Davert. I'm the president of the East Orange County Water District. I'm here tonight to ask for your support for one of the two special district seats at LAFCO, which is coming available for the first time in 24 years. As you may know, Director John Withers from the Irvine Ranch Water District has decided to retire from the seat, and I am seeking to replace him. The election is forthcoming, and Scott has all the information, all the details, and how it all works, which you will take up at a future meeting, but I hope you'll consider. I'm running for the voting seat. I do know that there are two others at this time who are running for it. Dwayne Cave, who's a recently appointed director at Molten Miguel, and Fred Ajarian, who is on the board at El Toro. I think when you compare my qualifications, which are before you, my vast experience both as a council member and a mayor, as well as a special district chairman in multiple special districts, as well as president of my own district, I think you'll find that I'm well qualified. People ask me where I stand on issues regarding LAFCO. I think I've outlined some bullet points there for you. But one of the things that I think would be most important to you is I am not a fan of hostile takeovers. If two boards are voluntarily want to combine forces, I think that's a great thing to look at and a great thing to explore. And sometimes there are good reasons to do that. Other times, if boards aren't wanting to do that and the community support isn't there, then you shouldn't be forced into anything. I don't think LAFCO should be forcing anybody to do anything unless it's a dire circumstance. I've been through the LAFCO process as a council member, through the MSR process, sphere of influence battles, and then most recently, a 2.5-year odyssey with the East Orange County Water District, acquiring sewer area 7 from the Orange County Sanitation District, which should have been smooth and easy, but because of the LAFCO bureaucracy and such, it wasn't what it should have been. And so I'm running for this seat and looking to speak up for the special districts in a way that I think hasn't happened in a while. And that's all I've got. So I'd appreciate your support, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
You know, you might add that you're secretary, too, to ISDOC.
I have that on a piece of paper there, but yes, I am. I do join Director Schaefer early in the morning, the first Tuesday of every month, to take notes at ISDOC.
Well, Doug, good to see you, and
Thank you.
Good luck to you in your election.
If I need to come back at a future board meeting, I'd be happy to do that. Just let me know. Thank you for your time.
When the need arise, we will.
I hope you won't be insulted if I leave. Thanks. Have a good meeting.
Okay, thanks for coming.
Drive safe.
Let's move along to a consent calendar. Is there anything on the consent calendar that somebody would like to pull for discussion?
Move for approval.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Public hearings.
There's none, Mr.
General Manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. First item tonight is consider approving an employee lending agreement with the Orange County Sanitation District. Just a brief background for you and for members of the public, that our district engineer, Rob Hamers, when he is the engineer of record for our private development here in Costa Mesa, he cannot review plans on our behalf because there is a conflict of interest. So in your operational code, there's a section that talks about having an alternate district engineer. And for some time, we've had a private engineer serve as our alternate district engineer. Back in 2015, the district approved an agreement with Orange County Sanitation District to have Rudy Davila to serve as our alternate district engineer, and he's been doing that capacity since 2015. The cost difference is substantial. Even when we first started entering this contract with OCSD, the cost was about $82 an hour. If you approve this agreement now tonight, it'll be about $89.63 an hour, which is still still less than what the private alternate engineer was charging us, about $133 an hour. So staff still believes recommends awarding a contract, or approving or authorizing the general manager to sign the contract on behalf of CMSD. So, and this will be presented to OCSD next month in April on their board of directors agenda.
Move it.
Second.
Rob, do you have any comments to make on that?
Rudy does a good job. He, because he plan checks my plans, so I know that he does a good job, and it's working very well.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. How many times per year do we use Rudy, roughly?
Say maybe once a month, maybe once every 2 months.
Not very much.
Not a lot.
No. Thank you.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. You have another item?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Vice President. Steve Hodges will be giving this report, and it's regarding the considering approving the cost of living adjustment to salaries for fiscal year 2018-19.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. We budgeted 2.5% in the 18-19 budget. I guess it's a good thing we saw CPI come in at 3.6%. We haven't seen that level since 2007, pre-recession. There's been years, as you know, in the last 10 years where there's basically been zero CPI. But what that does is that would increase our budget for next year by an extra 20 grand. And that cost obviously is compounding because it's in people's salaries, so it'll go from year to year to year. We wouldn't be asking for an additional appropriation because we will have salary savings from this fiscal year to carry forward. But it would increase our salary and benefits 20 grand for next year.
So you recommend that we could do this and that we wouldn't feel anything off of it? That
Yeah, we definitely won't see it. We're coming in, my estimations right now, about 100 grand light on salaries for this year. So we'll have plenty of extra room to carry over. And
You mentioned the budget was we set was 2.5.
Yes.
That would be my recommendation, to stay with the budget that we approved.
yeah. Second.
I'm just, that's my
I
recommendation.
thought
I haven't made a
you
motion yet because I'd like to have
I
other
thought you
discussion.
did.
Not yet.
Okay.
Any questions or comments?
No, I feel comfortable supporting the 3.6% because the employees are facing those kinds of costs, wherever they go, wherever they spend money. And I think staff's creative enough to figure out where to get the $20,000. We always have some things that are above budget and some things that are below budget. And I think staff budgets conservatively, so I believe the money is there.
My motion would be to keep it at the 2.5.
Is that a motion?
That's a motion.
Okay.
I second it.
Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed?
No.
No. Well, is there an alternate?
We'd have to wait for the next voter to come in. We'd have to table this.
Did you vote?
Yeah, he said no.
I supported, I mean, I did not support the motion.
Is President Schaefer coming?
No, not tonight, no.
Oh, okay. And he's coming to the closed session, you can continue
That's
it.
interesting.
So just before the closed session and revisit it.
Is he coming or just going to be on voice?
He sounded like he was coming to me.
He told me he was coming too. But
Okay.
Only for the closed session. Only the closed session.
Pardon me?
Closed session.
But he can stay after the closed session to bring this back on the agenda, I think, can't he, Ellen?
Sure, sure.
I'm sorry, the question you can
If Mike comes at the
Yes.
closed session, we can bring it back on the agenda.
revisit.
That's good.
Okay.
So we table it, or
Yeah,
Well, we'll postpone it until
continue it.
Until,
Mike is
or
here.
if Mike comes.
okay. Do we need to take action on that, or just, that's our direction?
Just have a clear understanding if you're going to continue it to later in the agenda or a future meeting, depending on when you get a full.
Okay, we're all in understanding of that.
Yes.
Okay, next item, roof repairs.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. This is the consider accepting the roof repairs at headquarters. You've seen the attached pictures of the roof improvements. I think you'll agree that the contractor did a fabulous job in performing the roof repairs and making sure everything's watertight. This last storm we had here within the next this day, a few hours ago, no water came in the building, so that's a good sign. So the total cost for this project was $166,000. We did not have any change orders for the contractor. However, we did, while the contractor was performing work, we did see some improvement, or he saw some improvements that needed to be done on one of our HVAC units, some electrical improvements. So we did have some additional costs for that, which was about almost $5,000. The total cost of the project, including the electrical improvements, was $152,000. So it's well within or under budgeted. Staff is recommending to accept the improvements as complete and file a notice of completion in the county's recorder's office, and then authorize payment of 5% retention 35 days after notice of completion is recorded, and exonerate labor and materials bonds 35 days after notice of completion is recorded, and then finally exonerate faithful performance bonds 1 year after notice of completion is recorded.
Second.
Discussion?
I have a question on how do you authorize payment of 5% after it's completed? I mean, does he get more money after?
No, what we did, of the $147,000, we withhold 5%.
Oh, I see.
So we hold that 5% until after 35 days, and then after 35 days, then we release it.
Okay, that makes sense.
Nice looking pictures.
Any other questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Move on to engineers report.
No, item number 4 still. We still have one more item on the general manager's report. And that's it's another roof-related project. It's consider approving an agreement with Precision Electric Company for installing solar photovoltaic system on the rooftop for $156,500. Mr. President and Board of Directors, in your staff report, you'll see that we received three bids for this project. Precision Electric Company was the apparent low bid. We had our consultant, Utility Cost Management, do an analysis of Precision Electric Company's bid, and they found that their bid guarantees a 75,000 kilowatt per year, which is very good. And they're also estimating savings about $16,000 a year in energy costs, which is a return on investment of roughly 10%. The total cost of the we budgeted $180,000 for this project. The total cost, including contingencies plus our cost with utility cost management, is $184,950, which is roughly $5,000 over budgeted, but we believe we can absorb that cost within the budget. So staff's recommending to the board of directors approve the agreement with Precision Electric Company for installing the solar photovoltaic system on HQ rooftop for $156,500.
Move for approval.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 4.
Engineers report, Ms. Vice President.
Engineers reports?
2-4.
Turn the page.
Engineers report.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President and board members, for the capital improvement report tonight. A couple things to mention. One is that the yard expansion is moving right along, and block wall is going up. There are a lot of little things to do out there, so there's people everywhere. And we're actually nearly done. Probably next week we'll finish up. And everything's worked out very well so far. As far as other projects, we're in design on the President Pump Station, and that's going along nicely. We're also in design on the Canyon Force Main, and we're going to do another horizontal directional drilling project to save time and money with that method. And that'll be our 4th project in a row actually using horizontal directional drilling. So things are moving along nicely, and it's all good right now.
Yeah.
What street will you be drilling underneath the,
It'll be in Wilson Street.
on Wilson?
It'll be
Oh, really?
in Wilson from Canyon to a little past State at the top of the hill.
Okay. Do you have to close off what time are you going to be doing the work? Same time, early in the morning or late at night? Or?
Well, last time we did work there is a school around the corner.
Right.
And it's very complicated with traffic control because we have to have a bypass line that goes all the way down the street. And if you do that, you have to put little bridges over the hose and slow people down and make the left turns in safe locations. So we're not sure that the city probably wants us to do it during the day because it'd be noisy for the residents, but the traffic may dictate it needs to be done at night. So we haven't approached that part yet. We're really doing the plans themselves, but we will find that out soon.
I think it's a great project.
How many borings will you have to do? I mean, what length can they go?
In this situation, there is a long hill, so we'll probably go to the hill by itself, and then from the top of the hill go both ways, and from the bottom of the hill go both ways. So there'll probably be 2 boring pits.
That's not too bad.
No.
The CCTV project, is it done or near done?
Yes, there are only a few sections left to be done, and Steve Cano, maintenance superintendent, is working with ProPipe to make sure everything is done. There was a couple of places where they needed to be with ProPipe to get some things done. There was another location that required a police escort due to some antagonistic neighbors. But I believe those things are either done or about to be done, but I think we're almost finished.
So with the grade 5 rehab projects, do you probably only have one more phase?
We finished phase 9. I have not heard that there are any more.
So there may not be any more.
Steve may not have told me yet,
Okay.
but hopefully we got them all so far.
Any other questions?
Bob, were you referring to grade fives?
Yes. Yeah.
That's good.
Comment that the wall looks great.
At the yard?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, Scott sent some pictures today, and it looks,
I saw it in person.
oh, did you? Okay. I mean, the pictures look great, I thought.
Yeah.
There's a lot of room there that
Yeah.
I didn't anticipate.
We're in the process of
good.
determining how big the letters for our name should be and how they should be spaced on the wall on the Fairview side. So that I don't want to get wrong.
Don't you have to run it by the city?
That's a good point, but I don't really think so. But maybe we should.
Yeah, you should. But if you don't, then they'll come back and say, somebody
Right.
will say it's not, you're allowed so large a sign.
Right. Good point, Director Schaefer.
Good idea. So what are we going to say on the Fairview side?
Just Costa Mesa Sanitary District.
Corporate yard.
Okay, sounds good.
Oh, you want, say that again? You want to say corporate yard?
Yes. Costa Mesa Sanitation corporate yard, just like it says on Wilson, right?
You want to say corporate yard or district yard?
Whatever it says on Wilson.
Okay.
It's consistent with
Thank you
Wilson.
for,
I have a question. Scott, in the picture, you had the pillars next to our entrance. What's going to happen with those pillars?
Those pillars will stay there. That's where the gate's going to go.
Are you going to move the gate back?
What's that?
Is that the gate's going to move back to where the pillars are?
It'll correct me
Yes.
wrong. Yes, it'll move kind of like this. It's very like similar to the existing gate on the other side of that wall on Wilson. It's going to be the iron, steel iron gate.
Okay.
They'll open and shut for the get out.
Okay.
Okay, this is just for filing.
right, item 2 is I am engineer of record of a small 2-unit subdivision at 170 Cabrillo Street on the east side. And that area is going to be looking a lot better soon. So I am engineer of record, so this is my disclosure. And this is another job where I will provide a sewer plan to our alternate district engineer, Rudy Davila.
Is that moving from a single family to 2 units?
There's kind of apartments out there now. There's really 2 buildings on there. And so I don't really say it. These will be really 2 bona fide single-family homes, much larger than what's there now. So it'll be a drastic improvement.
Are they paying currently for 1 unit, and we'll have 2 now?
I'm not sure what they're paying for in our system.
Right.
It's vacant right now. So,
That's just a thought for us to collect more revenue.
good point.
Any other questions on that? We will receive and file it. Treasurer's report, Mark?
No items this evening, Mr. Vice President.
Attorney's report.
I'll see you a little later. Nothing else.
Local meetings, the Orange County Sand District meets next week. I don't know how that worked out, but Jim Herbert, the general manager, his mother passed away last week. And I think we sent him a card or something. At any rate, she was 90 years old, but nonetheless. Santa Ana River flood. Mark?
Okay, Jim and I attended the meeting. We had to leave a little early before it finished to get here on time. But the funding for this year is still $40 million, but next year, it's been, for the Santa Ana flood control, is dropped, or for the Corps of Engineers, is dropped to $15 million, from 40 to 15. And because the OMB office in Washington didn't get pushed by the county to keep the same funding level, because they have a new lobbyist there. So we directed the county at this meeting to make sure that he gets informed of what's happening so we can push for more revenues. And the first time that I've ever heard that they plan on raising the spillway in 2021, which is the first time we've ever had a concrete time frame for raising the spillway, which is, we've been on this committee for a long time. This is the first time we've heard that. So I thought that was pretty significant. But it could change, but that's the first time it's in writing. The Westminster Channel, they're going to they're working on completing the status of that. And that's when, if they get approval for that, then all of the monies that are paid for insurances, you know, if they get the project going and completed, those will all disappear. But that's a ways away. That's about it.
Thanks, Art. ISDOC.
Say so?
Oh, it's Mike.
I know, but Mike.
Could you do
too.
that?
Yeah, okay. On ISDOC, Karen Emery, she came to the meeting, the CEO from LAFCO, and she reported that actually, you know, the seats were up, and John Withers was there and explained all that. And then we talked about the price of the meetings, you know, I mean, our salary, what we're going to give them, a third, that kind of. And, you know, it's too late. I mean, we have well, we put it on so long that right now it's already effective this year. So it's going to be, Chairman Fissler said that it'll be on for next month, but it doesn't matter because it's going to be the same thing, the third.
What do you mean about the third? What is that?
That's how much we give money towards LAFCO every year.
Special districts,
Special district,
I see.
special districts, cities and counties.
yeah.
Okay.
Everybody has that. And, you know, like the libraries would like something different because they feel that they're not
Able to.
able to afford that kind of price. But anyway, they have a chair, they've got a real committee, and they're reporting on it. So I really feel it's just going to be the same this year. You know, that it won't change.
Is
So,
that the third?
yeah, because you can't drag it on past the time that you have to have it. And then the other thing, of course, is that LAFCO is having, I guess, I can't talk. Scott knows that we have to have something in by April 9th, and for us to participate on LAFCO of who's running. And so right now, I'm sure all of us got the who's running. Are you
Well-
running?
If the board approves.
Oh, are we doing it tonight?
April 4th.
We have a special meeting on April 4th.
Oh, okay. So anyway, then they'll meet on, I have to think what this is. Okay, this is May. In May, they'll announce it. That's that, on ISDOC.
Thank you. And next item is CSDA.
Okay. On CSDA, we're encouraging everybody to vote for SB 929, which is the one on the one.
Water.
Yeah, the water tax, which is really, we want them to be opposing it. And so it's really important that we get out that word because it's kind of ridiculous that we're stuck on something like that.
Can I ask a question? I mean, Scott, did we write a letter about that bill?
Have we?
The one that the water bill, you know, the tax.
I don't think we sent an opposing letter. If you want it, we can draft
Thought
one.
it'd be smart. You know,
Yeah.
'cause they kind of asked us to, didn't they, at
Sure.
the liaison meeting?
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah. And then also, CSD is asking all special districts to get their own website. And they have to 2020 to do this. So, and there will be an exception if financially you can't afford it or a certain size, you know, there'll be criteria for this if you suddenly can't. It's not like it's forcing you into it, so.
Do you know how many agencies don't have a website? Did they ever say that?
I really didn't say, but the small ones don't.
Really?
Yeah, so,
Huh?
There was quite a few. It was a lot.
No.
yeah,
That's surprising.
yeah. But, you know, if they qualify that they can't, I mean, some just have a couple of people in the office running it, you know, they're really a small district, especially up north, a lot of them. And so, you know, there's nothing you can do. But the only thing we're trying to get out of CSDA is that by having a website, you can communicate with different people and find out what's going on. and, get the word out on different things, so.
Can I ask another question to
Sure.
Scott? What's the cost to build a website, roughly? I mean, even a basic one.
I don't know, but I know CSJ, they partner with a company called, I think, Streamline, and they offer really competitive deals for especially that might have financial constraints.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of getting at, that they do offer that, that's good.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, good.
And she comes to every meeting so that, she kind of picks up on what we're saying, so that's good. And I can go on a couple of other things. I had a conference call I sit on the Alliance for Executive Council for Sacramento, or for special districts, and so we just went over everything. We have risk management on it, and we have all the different identities, and we just talked on everything, just updating what's going on and what's happening, and we're getting organized for the conference for CSDA this year in October. And aside from that, conference call, okay. Website with marketing, upcoming events. Don't forget that the 29th of May, 29th of this month is an ISDOC general luncheon.
Right.
So I don't know if you got a count yet from us, or okay.
I signed up a couple of weeks ago with Milani, but I think she was going to ask
I'm
tonight.
going to, so
Yeah, I think I'm signed up.
I think I did. Yeah.
And you're going to sign up for it, right? Okay.
And aside from that, and the Finance Corps is doing very well up in CSDA. They're getting a lot of members. We're getting a lot of members. It's going higher and higher between the associates, and so we're way over 1,000. And if anyone wants to see my my agenda from the last meeting I had up there, I sit on a ledge meeting, and so we go over everything. And Gina's been good enough to give me a lot of ledge material. And I'm going to take it this time and tell you what sanitary district is most interested in. And aside from that, I think that's it. Yeah. Oh, we had our liaison meeting too. That was Friday with Newport Mesa Unified School District and with the city and Mesa Water District and us. And we hosted it here, and it went very well.
Can I ask a question on that to Scott? Does Newport Mesa ever offer any agenda items?
Very rarely, yeah.
They didn't this time. I asked them I was chairing the meeting, so I asked them, do you have anything? And so then they spoke up and said something. But
They should probably think about that ahead of time so it's on the agenda.
I know.
They've never hosted a meeting either.
I know that's where I thought we were going this
Yeah,
time.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Bob, did you have something?
Yeah, I attended, several of us attended the Waco meetings, and they had speakers from Southern California Gas and Southern California Edison. And they focused a lot on water because it's a Water Advisory Committee meeting. And it turns out that to get water from all the different places and to take care of it here locally, pump it out of the ground or whatever, it takes almost 19% of the energy that the state uses. It's a huge amount. I believe, I don't have my notes, but I believe it was
That's right, that's exactly right.
19%. You know, and I helped write a text for EPRI one time, and we only focused on what energy water and wastewater plants use, and it's 4 or 5% apiece. They also talked about MWD. The MWD rep talked about, you know, a little bit about the water fix and the potential for 1 or 2 tunnels. And I did attend the Orange County Sand District Operations Committee meeting, and this will be discussed next week at the board meeting. And they're going through their fee changes and the and also the residential charges for residential, commercial, industrial. And so they're going to go up by, I think, 1.2% or less in the next 5 years. They're proposing a 5-year, and they're going through all their fees, so there'll be
Per year.
per year, yeah. And it'll be the capital facilities charges and, you know, what it costs to hook up to the sewer. And that was, for the most part, what it was. A lot of little projects all around the district.
Can I go back to Waco for you for a sec?
Yeah.
That letter that it's for the Aqua Coalition letter, that's where and then a couple other things. One of the things they talked about was battery storage. Remember we talked about possible battery storage at the company that was working with Irvine Ranch. Just, that was one of the things I highlighted, maybe that we looked at. I don't know if we're looking at it anymore. And then by 2019, the penalties for, this is the electric, it's going to be, by 2019, it's 4 to 9 p.m. use of power. That's, the time frame for when they're going to.
Yeah, and we signed an agreement with Edison to have us grandfathered in for the next 10 years.
That's good. That's real good. And then another thing, by 2030, they're supposed to have 7 million cars and trucks on the road used by electricity,
Oh, yeah.
batteries, which is,
Yeah.
we'll see. Okay.
Oh, let me ask one question. Can I go clear back to the solar panel project? When I had solar companies come to my house to evaluate me, basically I don't use enough electricity to make it feasible for me to have solar power. But what they said was the first thing to do is convert my entire house to LEDs, which I've done. Have you made any strides in thinking through that?
Yes, definitely. I think our facility maintenance assistant will be doing an inventory on our lights to see if
Okay.
they're LED, and if not, we'll switch them out to LED.
Yeah, and I think, that'll make a little change at least,
Definitely.
maybe significant.
Anybody else? Mike, do you have anything you wanted to add as far as SDRMA or anything?
Unfortunately, I missed the SDRMA meeting due to illness, and I did not make the ISDOC meeting, so I assume you've already, that's really all, Jim.
Old business. Is there any old business any director would like to discuss? Not. New business.
Can I make a comment? Should we go back to the general manager's report about the cost of living adjustment? Now that Mike's here. That's on number 2. I'm
Yeah,
jumping in.
we could- that would be old business, I guess.
Want me to update a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. We talked about the cost of living. It was recommended to go 3.6, but we budgeted 2.5 for the employees. And Bob and Jim thought we should go for 3.6. Arlene and I thought we should stay with the budget item 2.5, but the vote was tied, so we need to get your input.
Welcome back.
Welcome back, President.
So this item is open for, Alan, are we okay bringing this back up and taking it?
Yes, we made it clear in the record that we might be revisiting it with the
Yeah, in looking at the item and in my experience with cost of living adjustments, I know they can be kind of waving in the wind sometimes. So I've had a chance to look at it. Jim, if you want to call for another vote.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, my motion was to stick with the 2.5, but we didn't get a vote on it because it was 2-2.
Oh, okay.
So we'd have to have another.
So somebody needs to make a motion.
Make a motion to reconsider.
I'll make a motion to reconsider the motion. My motion is still at 2.5 based on the budget. And
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion?
Yeah, so your motion is to leave it at the budgeted 2.5 instead of going to the 3.6?
yes.
Okay. All right.
Rob, did you have something to interject?
Yes, I just was wondering what it says in the employee handbook. it says of 3.6% as outlined in the employee handbook. I was wondering what that says and whether it obligates you to use the actual.
I believe the employee handbook says that we're supposed to go with the LA Long Beach COLA, doesn't it?
But I mean, Director Perry was talking about using something that was in the budget. Does the handbook give any indication that you can pick any number?
I think Steve.
So that the handbook does reference CPI. It's changed. It does say Riverside in the handbook. Diana's changing that because they changed how they measure it starting January 1st. But it says it does go off that based on the board's approval. It doesn't say that you can change the amount. It just says you guys can approve what CPI came in at.
Corey, I think it's quite on that matter. I know in the past the board has I think it was happened before I was here. There was one year, I think the CPI was like 5%, and the board approved like a 3%. So, it's really up to your discretion on what you want to approve for CPI. I mean, you can do the 2.5, if you do 3.6, if you want to do 3%, you can do that. It's really up to your discretion.
And the board might want to see exactly how it reads to feel more comfortable with what you're doing.
So by delaying it a month, it's still going to be, it's still not.
Still make it retroactive.
Still not going, then I would move that before we take action on it, that we take a look at the employee handbook, get the exact wording, and bring it back to the next meeting.
It's attached to this.
I don't have the attached, so I can't look at it.
Well, but we can pull it up.
It's in the packet.
I don't mind you guys pulling it up, but I would still rather have a chance to take a look at it. And if we, we have a special meeting on April 4th, let's agendize it on April 4th. You don't want to wait till the end of April.
I'd
would be my
fine
motion.
to withdraw my motion to next meeting.
Unless it could impact a manager's executive's compensation, in which case you couldn't do that on a special meeting. You'd have to be a general meeting.
Right. That's going to be on the April meeting anyway, the regular board meeting in April.
That would be better.
I'll withdraw my motion if the second will.
It does say in the handbook that, however, the board of directors will have the authority to freeze CPI salary adjustments at any time.
Yeah, we've always had that discretion, I think. Although I don't think we've ever frozen it. Maybe during the Reagan administration, but I wasn't here then. I know some of you were.
Hey. Yeah, we're too young for that.
Okay, so then my motion again was to continue the item to the April 4th meeting, special meeting.
Or are you thinking about the board meeting in April? What would be most appropriate?
We could put it on the 4th.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay, I'll second you.
Is that a special meeting then?
It's already an agendized special meeting, or noticed.
It just can't affect any executive, and I don't know what the definition of executive is, and without going back and looking at it, but obviously Scott's not on there, but if somebody else is considered an executive, you couldn't do it for that person because of the Bell reforms about sneaking things through in special meetings.
Yeah.
So it would be better to delay it to the general meeting since it's going to be retroactive anyway.
I'm okay with changing my motion to that if you want to go to the regular April meeting.
I think that'd be better.
That's fine.
Okay, it's been moved, and everybody understand the motion?
Yes.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Let's move along to oral communication and director comments. I think we've already discussed a lot of it. At this time, we're going to adjourn to closed session. We'll be discussing the performance of one of our employees and also some litigation. So at this time, we're going to go to closed session. Okay, we'd like to reconvene to open session and report out that there's really nothing to report out, and so this meeting is adjourned.
He gave direction to your attorney for settlement conference tomorrow.
We gave our attorney direction for the settlement conference.